Mr. Ratliff, could we talk a little bit about the new program in Costa Rica that kicks off in August and what will be available and the purpose of the program?
Sure. We are going to have a new center. It's called the TIP Center, Trade Chain Innovation and Productivity Center. It's actually called the Georgia Tech TIP Center, Costa Rica. Our plan is to have a network of these centers around the world, starting in Latin America. And so the first one is open in Costa Rica.
And what will some of the activities be of these centers? Will the purpose be to train the Costa Rican executives in supply chain management, or?
Well, there will be multiple goals. One of the goals is to provide an educational opportunity. We want to improve the education in countries, particularly in supply chain and logistics in the countries that we go to. So that's one big part. It gives a chance for Georgia Tech students to go there and for their students to come here, interchange faculty, do all of those kind of things. So education is a big part. A second part is research. We are focused on two basic things. How do you improve logistics performance, particularly at the country level? And how do you improve trade? Improving trade is done either by improving the productivity of trade that already exists or of helping to create new trade. So education, improving the logistics performance of the country, and improving trade between the country, in this case Costa Rica, and the U.S. Those are the three big goals.
Is the United States ahead of other countries in terms of supply chain management?
In general, yes. We are better than, I would say, any other country in the world, but certainly most other countries in the world. Partly is because we've just put a lot of effort into it. We're a very big country. Logistics is very important. We recognized it a long time ago. We have a lot of companies who have taken the lead. We've got a number here in Atlanta. UPS certainly is one of those. We've just recognized that logistics is important and put effort into it. Georgia Tech, it's fortunate for us because the supply chain logistics arena has been a big deal at Georgia Tech since the 1940s. So it's not a new thing here.
For the average person who may not exactly understand what supply chain management is, could you break it down? I mean, is it making sure the products are on your shelf when they need to be?
Yeah, there's sort of two different terms that are sometimes used interchangeably. Logistics is generally all of the functions associated with moving and storing things, products. And the supply chain is generally thought of as all of the infrastructure associated with doing that. And there are really two different, some people think about it in two different arenas. One is supply chain engineering and the other is supply chain management. Now, we don't make much of a distinction between those two things. The engineering being more the technology issues, of which supply chain is a very high-tech thing now. And management is management. I mean, you still have to have all of the people things and all of the other issues associated with managing any operation.
If the people think of Walmart as being the ultimate supply chain manager, is that the kind of example of efficiency in terms of?
Certainly, Walmart is one of the best in the world at doing this. Now, it is in many ways easier for Walmart to do it because Walmart has this tremendous volume of product, and it happens pretty much all the time. So they are relatively stable. They sell relatively the same amount all the time. They get from all over the world, but if you thought about it as a bunch of pipes, you've got stuff flowing through the pipes, and it flows reasonably smoothly and in large volumes. And they put a huge amount of attention on making it happen in the same way every time. So they're extremely good at that.
If a company is really good at supply chain management, does that mean that they're not going to have excess inventory on the shelves, and they are going to have the inventory that the customer wants at that given time?
In general, that's a true statement. But what is excess inventory is not an easy thing to define, because inventory is there for when the customer needs it. And if it were the case, for example, that you had a disruption in the supply chain and you couldn't get product in for 3 weeks, then you need 3 weeks worth of inventory. Now, if everything is running smoothly and you had 3 weeks worth of inventory, you might say, okay, I have excess inventory by 3 weeks. So the notion of what is excess is not a clear thing. So having not much inventory is certainly desirable by most companies, because inventory ties up capital. With a credit crunch, capital's hard to get, so there's a lot of emphasis right now on not having inventory. But if you don't have very much inventory, then you need to have a smooth running supply chain. The smoother you can make it run, then the less inventory you have to have.
I guess what I was thinking is Home Depot, and then we have the housing collapse of the market.
Right.
So in other words, Home Depot doesn't want to have a bunch of warehouses in Savannah filled with products from China that they can't sell.
Right.
Is good supply chain management a way to prevent that from happening?
Well, provided that Home Depot can predict that there's going to be a downturn in the housing market, which was not so easy to predict. Right. So in order to supply the housing market, Home Depot and other building supply companies had to have inventory of products. And then if they had known exactly when the downturn was going to occur and exactly how fast it was going to turn down, and they were really good at supply chain, then they would have not had very much inventory. But all of those things are difficulties, and it's a particular difficulty if you're bringing stuff from another country, because it just takes longer. It
involves large economic shifts as well as just the getting a product from A to B.
It does.
Right.
It does. And in fact, our focus on trade is around the fundamental idea that trade, supply chains and logistics are fundamental to trade. It is impossible for anybody to be good at trade that doesn't have good supply chain and logistics capability. Having said that, having good supply chain and logistics capability is not enough to ensure trade. There are lots of other things that you have to worry about, what the markets are, what you can make products for, the price, how much it costs you to make a product, and certainly how much it costs you to get there and how dependable it is to get it there. Dependability is a huge issue. I mean, again, variability is the thing in supply chains that causes the biggest difficulty, because if there's variability, what you'd like to do is make the variability go away. Right. But in many cases, it's simply not possible to make it go away. So if there's variability, then you're going to have to do things like have excess capacity and inventory to deal with the variability, or when the customer wants it, you won't have it. I mean, it's simply not possible to have it both ways.
Does it seem to you that companies like Home Depot and Walmart have weathered the recession better than others? I mean, I know their stocks have taken a little bit of a hit, but they're still seem to be fairly stable.
Well, Walmart, certainly the dynamics around Walmart are better than the dynamics around Home Depot, because the dynamics around Walmart are, they sell products that all of us have to have sort of all the time. So as far as I know, there's not been any huge turn down in sales at Walmart. So if there's no turn down in sales, then everything is still running along at a smooth clip, and you don't have to worry very much about it. Right. Home Depot, much harder, because a lot of Home Depot's business around construction, and construction is really down. So, no amount of good supply chain management will offset the fact that your demand is simply not there. And so,
but yet they're still out there. In other words,
they're certainly still out there, and that's all good. And the better you manage your supply chain, the more likely you are to still be out there.
Right. In other words, it's one component. So
right.
That if you get a hit on the economy,
it's a huge component. Yeah. But it's just easier for some companies than others. I mean, it's easier thing for Walmart to deal with the changes, the supply chain changes, than it is for Home Depot, because Walmart hadn't changed very much. Home Depot has changed a lot because they're not pumping nearly as much stuff out. So, the variability, again, is what causes the biggest difficulties in supply chains.